Welcome back, friends. Today we're going to look at the Leo full moon. So I'm going to pull up that chart and we'll see what it has to say. This one is definitely going to be interesting. Okay, let's just start with the basics, which is that this full moon is at 24 degrees of Leo, with the sun opposite at 24 degrees Aquarius. We also have Mercury at 26 degrees of Aquarius, so very close. And we have a square from Uranus at 23 degrees, 20 minutes of Taurus. It's forming a square to that full moon with the sun conjunct Mercury. And it's also interesting because Uranus rules Aquarius. So the planet that rules Aquarius, where the sun and Mercury are conjunct, is in a square to that full moon. So I think that's important to take into account because there is a very close relationship there. What is this going to be about? Well, when you have any kind of relationship with Uranus, not so much when it's a trine or a sextile, but definitely if you have a conjunction, opposition, or square, that can be more challenging. You're going to get some of the difficult aspects of Uranus because Uranus is considered a malefic. Yeah, it can be a little bit difficult. Uranus is difficult to predict because it is the planet of unpredictability, but at least we know that it could be something shocking, surprising, it could be disruptive, it could bring change, something like the tectonic plates shift. And so, especially when you can't predict it, you've got this issue of unpredictability, uncertainty, disruption, shocks and surprises. It comes out of the blue. You didn't expect it. It's the unexpected. And so all of these things can feel disruptive and can feel challenging. So you may get some information that you didn't have before, and that information may bring that feeling of shocks and surprises and disruption and change. And yet it's important. You have to get that information. It can also be internal. And this is probably the better one because you could actually have some mental breakthroughs. You could wake up to an idea or illuminate information with your own mind, like a light bulb going off, something from your subconscious, something finally clicks inside your mind and you have this breakthrough. That would be actually the best way for this energy to manifest. And a lot of you will actually get that beneficial way of information manifesting. But some of you may also get the shocks and surprises depending on how it lands in your chart. And of course, I am still doing my special for February. So if you're interested, just click on the link below and send me an email and we'll get your appointment set up. There are some other things going on in this chart that are really super interesting. One is a wide sextile between Pluto, which is in Aquarius, and Venus, which just recently entered Aries. I say it's a wide orb, but it's actually not too bad. It's like 3 degrees, but sometimes even that it'll still have an effect, a positive effect, but even sometimes that is a little bit too far apart to see a really strong influence, but regardless, it is there and it is positive. So you might get some benefits there. So depending on where Venus is landing in your chart, wherever you have Aries in your chart, its sextile to Pluto brings a window of opportunity. That's what sextiles bring, a window of opportunity. So again, if you're looking at some information coming into your reality, then the window of opportunity between Venus and Pluto could be something about getting clarity about what you value, because Venus is values and she rules all the things that we value, like material wealth and relationships and anything else that we're really truly passionate about. It matters to us. We value it. We're passionate about it. We love it. We want to prioritize it. Those are all the things that have that Venusian quality in our lives. And Pluto is the planet of wealth and power. And so when you have a sextile between those two, sometimes we can get empowered by getting clarity around what we value. Even if we can't access it at the moment, just that breakthrough energy of Uranus, some information coming in either externally or internally, shaking up our reality, giving us a mental breakthrough, bringing change, then the sextile between Venus and Pluto can help empower us by having that clarity around what we value. Because maybe we're saying, okay, if it was something financial, how can I change what I value? In other words, maybe I need to let go of something that's costing me too much, or maybe I need to find a pathway to pursue income or other resources in order to get the thing that I want. So that might be an example. Or yeah, because I think it's very clearly about something that we either don't want in our life or something that we do want in our life. And because, we were going along with the status quo, it was comfortable enough that we could live with it. But then Uranus comes in and either shakes things up and makes us say, oh, wait a minute, this is not comfortable after all. I need to find a way to change this situation. I need to get really clear on what I value so that I can empower myself to move in the direction of what I value, because Uranus has come in and shaken things up in a way that disturbed the status quo and disturbed my comfort zone. But in the end, having that clarity will empower you to move in the direction of what you truly value, even though Uranus has brought some disruption. But like I said, Uranus could actually, in a positive way, bring some kind of breakthrough information. I will just use an example from my own life. I've been trying to figure out how I wanted to make videos for one of my other channels, and I was really struggling with that because I'm so new to it. I wasn't sure how to do it. And I finally found a structure that is really working for me well. So that for me was a breakthrough that just came this morning, even before I started making this video. So I kind of have that to rely on as an example of what I think Uranus could do for us. So that could be really positive. Now, the other thing to understand is that sometimes an alignment like this, the full moon square with Uranus, can do more than one thing. So on one hand, it might bring the breakthrough enlightenment that you need, the idea that you were just waiting for that light bulb to go off. But then on the other hand, it could bring something external that you were not expecting and might feel less, less positive, like a letter in the mail that you didn't want to receive, or an email or a phone call that gave you information that you did not want. It was something you didn't want to hear because it disrupted your status quo and your comfort zone. And yet you're going to have to adjust to it. So again, it could show up in multiple ways. It's not always just one way. There's also a wide trine to Jupiter. Jupiter has an orb, a trine with Pluto, because Jupiter is in Gemini, which is an air sign, and Pluto is in Aquarius, which is an air sign. So they have a trine, but it's a wide trine. The orb is about 8 degrees, 9 degrees. And yeah, it's 9 degrees. And so that's a pretty wide orb, but it can still be in effect because it's still in the sign. It's a wide trine, but it's still in that element of air. So it's still making a trine from the house wherever you have Gemini to the house where you have Pluto, which again makes it a wide sextile to Venus. So we're getting positive sextiles to Venus from both Jupiter and Pluto. And by the way, Venus is getting ready to station retrograde. It's still about a little over 2 weeks from now, 2 to 3 weeks from now, because she retrogrades on March 1st. But ironically, she's only 5 degrees away. It's taking her a really long time to move across those 5 degrees because she's slowing down in order to station retrograde. But it's important to understand that even in her shadow, as she is moving across those 5 degrees, slowing down, getting ready to station retrograde in 2 to 3 weeks, that time period is still important, especially since it's coming off of this full moon square to Uranus. Something may shake up our reality, shake up our status quo, shake up our comfort zone that is related to that Venus in her shadow getting ready to retrograde. So, because all of these are like dominoes that fit together and they knock each other down as they move across time. So one domino is the square from Uranus, which brings some kind of shock or disturbance, shaking things up, or some kind of breakthrough, but it will change things either in a positive or not so positive way. But ultimately, the outcome will be positive once we've worked through all the weaknesses in the situation that is being brought to our attention, that is forcing us to think about what we value and prioritize what we value. But just keep in mind that the story is not done. Even after the full moon on February 12th, and even after you give it a few days to finish up, because the bell curve in astrology, you have to give it a few days before and a few days after for it to fully express its energy and manifest what was coming from that energy. So even after that, we still have 2 weeks until Venus stations retrograde, but the story is still tied together. Okay, so whatever's happening now with Uranus could still be tied to that Venus and her station retrograde 2 weeks later. Okay, so just pay attention because there is a story unfolding. And you need to know what that is for you so that you can get clarity about what you value and what you want to prioritize so that you can empower yourself by prioritizing it. There's another aspect in this chart that I really like, which is that Mars is in a trine to Saturn. Mars is in Cancer. That's a water sign. It's still retrograde, but it's getting pretty close to stationing direct. In fact, Mars will station direct in 9 days after the full moon on the 23rd. So, just a little over a week, and then Mars will station direct. Mars is also slowing down because of the fact that it's getting ready to change directions. So whatever Mars has been doing for you, usually, it does depend on where it's located in your chart, but usually Mars is going to say something to you about your fire energy. So that could be your emotions of anger. Have you been feeling a lot of anger, frustration, irritation, annoyance, any flavor of anger, any flavor, that fiery anger energy, any flavor of it, rage, anything that's been coming through your body? That is the energy of Mars that is attempting to help you to move forward. It motivates you. That is what Mars does. Mars is the warrior planet of action. It is the element of fire. It is your fire energy. It runs your machine. It runs your motivation to take action, to make things happen, to take action to prioritize what matters to you, to take action to protect yourself, whatever it is that you need. You have to take action. If you have a need, and if you have a priority, and if there's something that you value that matters to you, you have to be able to take action. Action is the only cure. It's the only medicine. Okay. You have to be able to take action. However, you want to be able to work with your Mars energy in a way that is very positive and constructive so that you can move in the direction of meeting those needs and protecting those needs and protecting what you value and moving in the direction of what you value and creating what you value in a constructive way so that you actually meet those needs instead of in a destructive way where you end up being even more unhappy. You know, if you're angry to begin with, you end up being even more unhappy if you're using that energy in a destructive way, like turning it inward or just stewing on your feelings instead of taking the constructive action toward whatever it is that you want to create in your life. Well, it's in a trine to Saturn that helps us to stabilize the energy and helps the actions to be more long term. So that's another reason why it's super important to use this energy in a positive, creative, constructive way by taking action toward your goals and toward meeting those needs, because you want that stabilizing energy of Saturn to help it last a really long time, because those actions will be grounded in the stabilizing Saturnian energy that helps them to last a long time, because it's like creating a foundation. So I used the example of trying to learn how to make videos to build my new channel. And my new channel is called A Warrior's Challenge, which you can find the link below. But basically, because it's very different from what I've been doing here with the astrology, where I can just sit in front of my webcam and talk about the charts. That's easy for me. But trying to learn how to be a filmmaker and tell stories through film is very new and different. So I've been trying to learn how to do that. So this Mars has been about learning to develop the discipline to take action in a very disciplined and consistent and constructive way so that I can move in the direction of my goals. And I do notice a lot of insecurities coming up. That's one of the things I've been struggling with Mars retrograde, which you may have been struggling with too, is feelings of insecurity, like maybe fear, maybe anxiety, not sure what to do. And so Mars is trying to help us to embody our warrior selves, to embody our warrior energy so that we can take constructive, creative action toward making manifest whatever our goals and dreams are, so that we can move in the direction of the things that we really care about, the things that really matter to us, the things we really value and that we want to prioritize. Okay. So that's a really lovely trine with Mars, and it's trine to Saturn, very helpful for creating a foundation. And then, of course, a week later, Mars will station direct, and then we'll get that forward movement, and it will make another exact trine to Saturn. So while those two planets are moving really slowly in their trine, that energy is there for quite a long time. And we can make the best use of that energy while it's there. So that's pretty much all I have to say about this full moon. Again, the most important thing to remember is that square from Uranus, and that square could bring some kind of disruption, shakeup, something unexpected, possibly difficult, that really pushes us out of our comfort zone and shakes things up in a way that may be a little bit uncomfortable. And yet at the same time, it's trying to help us because it needs us to shift into a new timeline where things will be better once we've dealt with whatever that weakness is that it's bringing into our awareness, and also to help us grow. But again, you may only experience it as some kind of positive breakthrough. But remember, if you have a major breakthrough or a light bulb go off, remember that that is Uranus in the square to the full moon, because the full moon is illumination. So whenever you have the full moon in some kind of relationship with Uranus, that often does mean some kind of really important breakthrough, like a huge light bulb going off inside your head. Okay, so keep your eyes peeled for what these alignments are going to bring, and I wish you the best, and I hope you'll check out my special in the description box below. And of course, if you are new to my channel, please subscribe, hit the like button, and share with friends and family to help me grow this channel. All right, thanks so much. Bye-bye.